Hello YouTube, TB back with you again, and a lot of people that follow my channel have seen my home first aid kit and what I call my crash kit, which is for, extreme emergencies and long-term use. But I've gotten a few emails here recently because of my backpacking experience of people saying, well, how do you handle that when you're backpacking? So I'd like to show you guys how I do that, so stick with me and we'll get to it. So I have 2 packs that I carry in my backpack in Ziploc bags. I've weighed this. It's a bit, it's about 50-70 grams, less than a pound. So it's not heavy at all. But let me show you what I got. First of all is a kit that I bought almost 30 years ago that was just a little basic first aid kit when I first started backpacking and stuff, and it just unfolds. It's made by Cutter, and it had a lot of little miscellaneous stuff in it. So what I've got in it nowadays is some small sterile gauze pads. Nothing big, nothing major, just for treating small wounds. Of course, a ton of band-aids. You gotta have a ton of those. Also, I carry some larger gauze pads that are made by Telfa that are a little bit better. They're self-adhesive, so you pull the backing off of them and they'll cover up your wound and work pretty well. I also carry strips of tape, which are show you here in a minute. I also carry other tape, but I carry these little tape strips because if you just need 1 or 2 little tape strips, this works perfect, and it's super lightweight. And then over here on the other side, I carry butterfly bandages, which for those who aren't sure what butterflies are, they look like that. So, next to stitching a wound with if you get a inch-long cut in your arm, 3, at most 4 of these butterfly bandages will close a wound really well. Then you want to cover it with gauze, and then you want to wrap it with tape, and then you want to get out. One other thing I carry in here is something most people wouldn't think of, but when you're out in the wilderness backpacking, you can't really see yourself. So if you have something on your face, something in your eye, I carry a mirror, just a little small one, and comes in handy when you need it. Otherwise, it just sits in the bottom of the pouch, and I never see it. So anyway, some of the other things I carry in here is a lot of Pepto Bismol tablets, because I'm not carrying my big first aid kit. So if you get diarrhea or something and you're out backpacking, of course you're going to head out. But this will at least maintain you until you can get out, and I've got several packages of those in here. One other thing I carry is a product called New Skin, and this is basically an antiseptic bandage that's wet. So you unscrew the top, it's got a little brush in it, and if you get a not a bad cut, but small cuts or abrasions, you cover them 2 to 3 times a day with New Skin. It's flexible, it's not a band-aid, it's not going to rip off, it's not going to fall off, and it seals the wound, plus it is an antiseptic. So that works really well for small cuts and abrasions when you're out backpacking. Of course, I carry sterile gloves, especially if I'm treating anything that has blood or anything like that. I want to have several sets of gloves with me. I carry 3 sets. I figure that'll get me through till no matter what happens, I can get myself or get somebody else out of wherever we're backpacking till we get back home. And my second bag gets a little more serious. Of course, I carry first aid tape. I always have first aid tape at all times. This is kind of unique. A lot of people don't know about this. This is called Toothache Wax. And what it is it's a medicated bar of wax that if you have a filling pop out or you happen to have a cavity, that all of a sudden starts hurting when you're backpacking, you can take a piece of this wax and you can either make a small filling for a tooth, or you can patch just a little, whole cavity and patch that shut, and it works really well until you can get home and get to a dentist. It comes in a little plastic container. It's in here so it doesn't deteriorate, it stays good, and it lasts a really long time. And I've never had to use it, but my understanding is it works really well, at least till you can get back till you get to your dentist. For blisters, which are pretty common with backpacking, I carry moleskin. And for those of you who aren't familiar with moleskin, it's basically like a padding with a kind of like a cloth cover on it. And it's got an adhesive back on the back. It's made by Dr. Scholl's, so it's made for footwear. What you do is if you start to get a blister, say on the back of your heel, is you'll take your knife or scissors if you have them, and you just cut a square out. And then what you do is you take your knife and you cut out a hole that will fit all the way around the blister on your foot. Then you put this over the blister, and then you put a band-aid on top of it. And what that does is it keeps your shoe from further rubbing on that blister and making it worse. So it gives you a chance to heal, and once it starts to heal a little bit, you can also use a little new skin on it. Works pretty well. I carry a lot of gauze pads in here, 4x4s, because you're always going to need gauze pads, especially if somebody cuts themselves pretty bad. And I carry a pair of hemostats, and I'll explain that here in a minute. And I carry a Cord-Aid, which is a hydrocortisone cream, which is good for treating any wounds or any small cuts, things like that. It's a good antiseptic to have with you is Cord-Aid. Also carry in here a snake bite kit, just in case. I mean, if I'm going up in the snow snowshoeing, I don't carry my snake bite kit with me. But if I'm here in Texas or I'm in New Mexico and it's not, 6 to 10 inches of snow on the ground, I'm carrying my snake bite kit just in case. One of the other things I have in here are called sting aids. And if you get stung by something or bitten by something and you're out in the wilderness, sting aids work really well. They'll stop the stinging and they'll stop the itching, which is the worst part. That'll drive you crazy. So I carry quite a few of those. And the last thing I carry in here that I can't recommend anyone use, because if you are not trained, you cannot do stitches. These are suture packs. These are stitches. These are 3/0 stitching kits. And they've got the needle already attached to them, and that's what the hemostats are for. Now, just so you know, I've been trained on how to do stitches by an Army medic. So I know how to do stitches if I have to. I don't ever want to have to, but at least I know how to do them if that need ever arises. And those are the things that I carry for my first aid in the backcountry. And if you have any questions, put it down in the comments, and I'll be glad to answer them for you. And I'm not going to teach you how to do stitches because I'm not a doctor and I'm not a licensed nurse, so I'm not going to show you how to do stitches. If you want to do that, you need to get professionally trained or trained by someone that really knows what they're doing to instruct you on how to do it. And there's a lot of aids that you can buy on the internet that lets you practice and teach you how to do it, and they all work fine. But you still need to be trained by a human that has applied stitches to someone and knows how to do it and can teach you to do it properly. Otherwise, do not attempt that. But otherwise, that's the way I get through it, basically treating minor injuries and getting out of a bad situation till you can get your backpack on and hit the trail and head back home. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.